You had the Dodge Challenger and Pontiac GTO, vehicles that turned burning rubber into a national pastime. These names are etched into the bedrock of history. They are the icons, the posters on bedroom walls, the six-figure auctions of today. But if you look closer at that snapshot, peering past the monolithic shadows of the big three, you will find something else, something strange, something shorter, angrier, and surprisingly dangerous.
It was a car built by a company that had absolutely no business trying to pick a fight with the Chevrolet Corvette. It was a vehicle born from a manufacturer known for sensible, beige sedans and economy cars. Yet, for a brief, glorious window in time, this Underdog didn't just bark, it bit. It was the only other mass-produced American two-seater on the market, designed to undercut the Corvette and outhandle the Mustang. This is the story of the American Motors Corporation, AMX, the muscle car era's most fascinating anomaly. To understand why the AMX was such a radical departure from reality, we have to understand the architect behind it, the American Motors Corporation. AMC wasn't a titan. Born in 1954 from a desperate merger between the Hudson Motor Car Company and Nash Calvinider, AMC was the alternative choice. They were the David in a room full of Goliaths. For years, their strategy was simple: build cars that were smaller, more efficient, and frankly, more boring than the competition. They sold Ramblers and Ambassadors, cars you bought because they were prudent, not because they made your heart race. They were the sensible shoes of the automotive world.
But as the 1960s progressed, sensible stopped selling. The baby boomers were coming of age, and they didn't want the fuel-efficient compacts their parents drove. They wanted speed, noise, and sex appeal. AMC's executives looked at the sales charts and realized a terrifying truth. Profitability was directly tied to adrenaline. To survive, they needed to shed their economy car stigma. They needed to stop being the librarian and start wearing a leather jacket. They needed a halo car, a machine that would force the public to look at AMC with lust rather than indifference. The genesis of this transformation began in 1966. AMC rolled out a concept vehicle simply titled the American Motors Experimental. The acronym was obvious: AMX. When this concept hit the auto show circuit, it was a sleek orange and metallic blue promise of the future. But there was a catch. The show car was a lie. It had no engine, no drivetrain, no suspension, and no interior. It was a pushmobile, a fiberglass shell meant to gauge public opinion. But the reaction was visceral. Crowds didn't care that it couldn't move under its own power. They loved the way it looked. The reception was so overwhelmingly positive that AMC's brass gave the green light. The AMX had to be built. However, AMC didn't have the bottomless pockets of GM or Ford. They couldn't just engineer a bespoke sports car chassis from scratch. They had to be clever. Their solution was a masterclass in American ingenuity. AMC was already developing the Javelin, a standard pony car meant to fight the Mustang. The engineering team, led by the legendary Dick Teague, decided to pull a surgical maneuver. They took the Javelin platform and chopped a massive 12 inches out of the wheelbase. This wasn't just a cosmetic tweak, it was a fundamental shift in philosophy. By removing that foot of steel, they deleted the back seat entirely. While the Mustang, Camaro, and Javelin were 2+2 coupes, the AMX was a strict two-seater. This distinction is critical. It meant the AMX wasn't technically a pony car anymore. It was a sports car. It was a direct shot across the bow of the Chevrolet Corvette, but with a price tag that the average worker could actually afford. When the production AMX arrived in 1968, it was a revelation. It shared the Javelin's aggressive face and body lines, but the proportions were tighter, more muscular. It looked like a Javelin that had spent 6 months in a boxing gym. The most shocking part, however, was the value proposition. A Corvette hardtop in 1968 started around $4,600. The AMX, it launched at under $3,300. AMC was offering a legitimate sports car experience for the price of a mid-tier family coupe. Under the hood, AMC didn't pull any punches. Buyers had 3 V8 options: The base model came with a 290 cubic inch V8, producing 225 horsepower. A step up got you the 343 cubic inch engine with 285 horsepower. But the headline grabber was the 390 cubic inch monster. Topped with a 4-barrel carburetor, this engine churned out 315 horsepower and could rocket the short wheelbase car from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 6.5 seconds. For context, that is respectable today. In 1968, it was blistering. It would tear through the quarter mile in 14.8 seconds at nearly 100 miles per hour, topping out at 122. The motoring press was stunned. Car and Driver and other publications heaped praise on the car, describing it as a handsome brute with American acceleration and European handling. One writer went as far as to call it the best-looking car made in the USA. That is high praise for a company that, just a few years prior, was famous for selling cars to school teachers. AMC knew they had a winner, but they needed to prove it to the world. They needed hype, so they launched one of the most aggressive PR campaigns of the decade. They hired Craig Breedlove, the land speed record holder, and sent him out with 2 prepared AMXs to destroy the record books. And destroy them they did. The team set 106 individual speed and endurance records. In a sanctioned run at the Bonneville Salt Flats, a modified AMX hit 189 miles per hour. While these weren't exactly showroom stock vehicles, the message was clear. The AMX wasn't a joke, it was a missile. The 1969 model year kept the momentum going. While visually almost identical to the debut model, save for some wheel changes and a minor price hike, AMC catered to the hardcore racers. This was the year of the legendary Superstock AMX. These were factory-built dragsters stripped of all creature comforts and fitted with high-compression 390 engines. With over 12-to-1 compression, these beasts were capable of running the quarter mile in 10.7 seconds straight off the trailer. Only 52 were ever built, making them some of the rarest and most potent AMC vehicles in existence. However, all good things must come to an end, and for the AMX, the end began in 1970. This was the final year of the 2-seater platform, but AMC decided to go out with a bang. The 1970 model received a significant facelift. The front end was redesigned with a larger grille, giving it a hungrier look. The hood featured a power blister, a massive scoop designed to force-feed air into the engine, functioning as a true ram air induction system. The rear was lengthened slightly, housing full-width taillights. It was, in the eyes of many enthusiasts, the most refined and aggressive iteration of the car.
Mechanically, 1970 saw a shakeup in the engine room. The old 290 and 343 engines were retired, replaced by a new 360 cubic inch V8. This was a brilliant move. By making the 360 the new base engine, AMC raised the entry-level horsepower to 290. Suddenly, even the cheapest AMX was a serious threat at a stoplight. For those who wanted the ultimate experience, AMC offered the Go package. Available on the 360 and 390 models, this ticked every enthusiast box: power disc brakes, heavy-duty cooling, upgraded handling suspension, and a twin-grip rear differential. If you find an AMX today, the Go package is the holy grail. Despite the performance, the critical acclaim, and the record-breaking speed runs, the AMX couldn't survive the changing tides of the market. It was a niche car in a volume business. By the end of 1970, the 2-seater experiment was over. The AMX nameplate survived for a few more years, but only as a trim level on the 4-seater Javelin. It became a badge, a sticker package, a shadow of its former self. The true short-wheelbase 2-seat sports car was dead.
In total, AMC produced just over 19,000 units of the 2-seater AMX across its 3-year run. To put that in perspective, Chevrolet sold nearly 30,000 Corvettes in 1969 alone. This scarcity has turned the AMX into a coveted collector's item today. But beyond the auction values and the rarity, the AMX represents something more important. It represents the audacity of the underdog. The Corvette was objectively a more sophisticated machine, but it was born from the unlimited resources of General Motors. The AMX was born from grit.
It was a car that existed because a group of engineers and designers at a boring company decided they weren't going to take it anymore. They took a hacksaw to a sedan, stuffed a massive V8 under the hood, and challenged the world. In many ways, the AMX is more compelling than the Corvette because of its flaws, not in spite of them. It was the ultimate example of American ingenuity, doing more with less and looking good while doing it. It proved that you didn't need to be the biggest, to be the baddest. You just needed to be brave enough to cut 12 inches out of the middle and hit the gas.